Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host Bryan. We're going to wrap up this week's theme of catchy choruses, exploring songs with, catchy choruses, songs that become earworms. We're going to be looking at a band I've never heard of before called Hop Along. The track we're looking at is called Somewhere a Judge, and this is another band this week that I've never heard of before. Not even just that I haven't heard their music, but that I also don't even recognize their name. Let's dive into this and see what Hop Along is bringing to the table today.
There you have it, the beginning and the end. The intern shovel still covered in shit. Death indiscriminate tracks off the newborn buck with a broken leg. In the shadow of conversations had while I was asleep. Not to mention there's a
I love all the fun little blues rock ideas coming in from the electric guitar. It's really cool count. Ooh, the little harmonic thing over here. Oh, maybe that's not harmonic. Maybe that's just a really... Yeah, that's just muted. The random bits of tension are a really interesting addition.
notification, 8 executions by drug to beat the expiration. A shell that for reason, is that what this was? Oh, Arkansas, and somewhere a judge stretches himself out on fine tropical sand. I went back to work, then took the train home. I saw fire in the
Beautiful bass tone too. I don't know why it took me so long to notice it.
the sun crawls away across the lawn. Through the phone I pull you in, drag your voice around. Afternoon vanilla sun crawls away
I
with
love
the
it.
sound. Through the phone
The muted guitar just feels so
drag your voice around.
sparkly in something that's a bit sparser atmospherically, especially compared to this denser verse that we have. Yeah, I was going to say bizarre, and it is kind of an interesting combination.
Crawls away across the lawn. Through the phone I pull you and drag your voice around. Afternoon vanilla sun crawls away without a sound. Through the phone I pull you and drag your voice around. Afternoon vanilla sun crawls away across the lawn. Through the phone I pull you and drag your voice around. Afternoon vanilla sun crawls away without a sound. Through the phone I pull you and drag your voice around. I don't know why I'm so mean each time I come to visit. I don't know why I'm so mean each time I come around. I don't know why I'm so mean each time I come to visit. I don't know why I'm so mean each time I come around.
Dude, it's just such a chill groove. This whole thing.
Come to visit. I don't know why I'm so mean each time I come around. I don't know why I'm so mean each time I come to visit. I don't know why I'm so mean each time I come around. I don't know why I'm so mean each time I come to visit. I don't know why I'm so mean each time I come around.
I do think that the chorus at the end were just a bit too many of them, but heavy repetition. I mean, I'm a stickler for it, that's for sure. Alright, so this song basically has two modes to it, which kind of gives it more of an indie rock, folk rock kind of thing. We have our A section, which is a bit noisier and fuller, and then our B section, which is sparser and twinklier. and we sort of just bounce back and forth between the two of those. I like both of them, but I like them for two different reasons. Because, well, let's start with the verse. I don't know where I said because. Let's start with the verse. This one is denser. It's denser in a lot of ways. So let's kick this off. Harmonically dense. This one introduces dissonance in interesting ways. There's a lot of instruments going off at one time. We have our bass, and we have two guitars, and we have our vocals. One of the guitars off on the right, it's sort of just doing its chordal thing, providing a foundation to the entire song for everything else to be built off of. The bass works alongside that, providing more harmonic information, primarily through some pedal tone stuff, but also presenting rhythmic information as it plays alongside the drum kit. As usual, bassist, best of both worlds. We have our vocals on top of that, very light, very ethereal, lots of air to them, and that's giving us our lead melody. This right here, everything that we have in this area that I spoke about, gives me a very indie rock vibe. Just a hair bit of distortion on this guitar over here, but for the most part, it's a very clean sound with a little bit of grit to it, and some production to match. It isn't the hyper clean pop style production that you would hear in pop rock, but it isn't really some of the gritty stuff you could hear in the darker areas of rock music like grunge. Or even some of the lower fidelity indie rock stuff. It kind of sits right there in the middle, just enough grit to give it some personality. But there is one more instrument here. I haven't really talked about it. It's a center right, just a little bit to the right, panned electric guitar that has quite a bit more crunch and bite to it than our chordal guitar over here, and is playing bluesy ideas. Some interesting sort of ad-libbed lines, little ornamentation, 3 or 4 notes here just to wrap up a phrase, a couple of notes there, a little twangy bending line here in the middle of an idea. It feels like it constantly runs up against what the rest of the band is doing. Not in a way that's distracting. At least I didn't think so. But in a way that never really feels like this guitarist got the memo of what the band was doing, and so they wrote something entirely different, and they just decided to play it alongside what the band's doing. And sometimes it creates some really inspired call and responses. Sometimes it's really great bit of ornamentation to wrap up an idea that maybe another instrument had started. Other times, though, it just feels a bit random. This noisier guitar that's in a different mode, a different key maybe entirely. Sometimes the notes do add some really interesting spice, and sometimes the notes add dissonance against what the rest of the band is doing. I find this just to be really interesting. I'm not going to necessarily say that I enjoyed every moment of this indie meets blues clashing, but I do find that the execution is interesting, if nothing else. And there are some moments throughout this that I found, as I mentioned, to be really inspired. It just isn't consistent for me. And I don't know where to stand with that. There's some parts I'm like, yeah, that was very cool. And other parts I'm like, geez, that guitar, I don't know what it's doing, man. But at the end of the day, it's also not something I've really heard before. And, just from an artistic perspective, I really enjoy that. So, like I said, I enjoy these two sides, the verse and the chorus, for different reasons. And I enjoy the verse for the idea behind it. The execution can leave me wanting at times, but just the sheer concept is really neat. This takes us to the chorus, though, which is just fantastic. Everything just works together in a unified way that, if nothing else, acts as sharp contrast against the more disruptive style of all the instruments coming together that we have in the verse. Here, we do have, once again, a little bit of a foundation, which is primarily just our bass here. The drums are giving us rhythm, and we have these twinkling guitars over here. Like I mentioned, part of me thought it was harmonic based for a little bit, but by the end of it, I think it was just muted. They're very sharp staccato notes, not a lot of force used to pluck them. It's very light attacks, very light resonance, and in the higher register, it just sounds like twinkling off to the side. I really like it. But we also don't have that strong bluesy guitar here. There are some bluesier ideas harmonically present, probably from that same guitar, but it just doesn't have the same body. In fact, there is a very large part of the center of this song that's just gone here. And so where our verse is very full-bodied, filling up the entire sound sphere, this one's a bit emptier. And I think having that emptier sound makes the little glittering stuff off to the side even more pronounced and beautiful against the still less full-bodied, more ethereal style of vocal delivery, just a very light sound in general. And this section, especially as contrast to the full-bodied verse that we have, just feels so light, like an entire weight has been lifted off of us. Whatever the verse was, whatever it held over us is gone. And we can finally straighten our shoulders back with very little effort. It is a wonderful release of energy, not in the way that tension in a build-up to a release would be, but just removing some weight. Not a massive release, just one that feels like you're not being crushed ever so slightly. The smallest of weights removed, the smallest of stresses removed. I love that. It is such a minor feeling, but it is everything, honestly. It's so great. And just the constant back and forth here, bringing a little bit of that tension back, a little bit of that weight, a little bit of that stress, and then releasing it again. This isn't a massive payoff at the end of a long slow burn. And I don't know, it's just like having a stranger just hand you an extra $100 for no reason. It's like it's not life changing, but dang, it makes this week a lot easier. That's what the chorus feels like to me, and it's just so good. I love it. It's beautiful. And like I said, there really isn't even anything in here that runs opposition to it. Where like the blues guitar kind of can be a bit distracting on the verse, it's still present here in some ways. It's just nowhere near as disruptive. It's like every single idea cuts through for a positive addition to the sound, while still having that middle section cut out to create this emptiness for the glittering stuff off to the side to really shine through. And just, it's gorgeous. And like I said, we just keep bouncing back and forth between these two sounds. We do have the guitar solo, which is a bit bluesier. Once again, primarily from a harmonic standpoint. I think it's really interesting that this guitarist, at least for this song, is like, y'all do what you want. I got these blues licks in me and they got to get out, and I love it. There's just this carefreeness to it. There's a little bit of intricate element to it, but it also tells a story. It has great pacing. I love the harmonies that it goes through, the ways that the melody warps and changes the chord progression to fit its needs. It's just a really great guitar solo, and it pulls us back to the final chorus, which, as I mentioned, just goes on a hair bit too long for me. Is it a catchy chorus, though? Yeah, I'd say so. Definitely going to be stuck in my head for a little bit. But I think the other side of that, though, is just the positive vibes in it, which I'm a huge fan of. So let me hit some lyrics on this one, see what's going on, and then we're going to wrap this one up. You know, for a song that I kind of took more of a positive feeling from, about a weight being lifted, it's very much the opposite of that. And I think that the lyrics more or less tend to lean more into the darkness that I felt in the verse, particularly the tension that the blues guitar brings into play. It seems to be about life and cycles and not being able to get anywhere worthwhile. It begins. Very first line we hear, there you have it. The beginning and the end, the intern shovel still covered in shit. This person has one of the worst jobs. shoveling manure around. Manure? Why can't I think of manure? Dang. I can't think of that word. Shoveling poop around. We'll just go that way. Poop, that's a fun word. Anyways, though, the interns started here, and at the end, they're still here. They found no way to climb up this corporate ladder, still doing the worst of the worst jobs that the company has to offer. It says death indiscriminate drags off the newborn buck with the broken leg. Once again, talking about somebody who really hadn't gotten anywhere. This could be the intern, but it could also literally be a newborn buck. Has a broken leg and ends up dying before they've really had a chance to get anywhere in life. The chorus says afternoon vanilla sun crawls away across the lawn. Through the phone I pull you and drag your voice around. The afternoon vanilla sun is my best interpretation is melted ice cream on a sidewalk. It says it crawls across the lawn, how it just continues to drip and run. It talks about the passage of time and once again a bit of destruction, a lost opportunity. Someone could have eaten the ice cream, but here it is melting. Through the phone I pull you and drag your voice around. There's an annotation here from, I believe, the lead singer, who says, I thought about time passing and this wasteful passing of time. When we're comfortable, we can easily waste time. I was thinking about being on the phone with a loved one and wasting their time talking about nothing. That idea of comfortability comes up a little bit in the next stanza as well. It says, notification, 8 executions by drug to beat the expiration. A shelf life of reason? Is that what this was, oh Arkansas? Somewhere a judge stretches himself out on fine tropical sand. All of this alludes to 2017, where some lethal injection drugs were expiring, so Arkansas bumped up a bunch of capital punishment, rushed some capital punishment stuff so that several death row prisoners could be given this lethal drug before it expired. It seems like there was 8 of these prisoners were rushed up through the lines to beat the expiration date of some lethal drugs. And so he says a shelf life of reason. But to contrast that, we have a judge stretching himself out on fine tropical sand, somewhere far away, not even worrying about these people, not worrying about this entire process. After this, it also starts off, remember, it says notification, 8 executions by drug to beat the expiration. This might have been something she saw on her phone or in a newsreel. Maybe it was a notification from a news app. And then this finishes off this verse and says, I went back to work, then took the train home. I saw a fire in the distance. All of this very nonchalant, just talking about life and death in general, the way that people so far away from you can have control over your life right here. And when I say so far away from you, that's not just distance physically, but distance in class even. Distance in standing. From here, though, we just return back to a repetition of the chorus. Afternoon vanilla sun crawls away across the lawn. Through the phone I pull you and drag your voice around. The idea that comfortability allows people to waste time. Time is such a precious commodity when you're not comfortable. People who tend to be lower class or from poorer families do not have time to waste. But judges, for instance, do. They can just lounge around on sand. And so the chorus dreams of when they might have this ability to just waste time, to not do anything at all, to watch ice cream melt across a lawn, to just call somebody up and chit chat for no reason whatsoever. Something I didn't notice is that while the final chorus does repeat over and over and over and over, there's actually a change in lyrics. We shift away from those 2 lines about the vanilla sun and pulling your voice through the phone to, I don't know why I'm so mean each time I come to visit. I don't know why I'm so mean each time I come around. Which I really like. It is this introspection, this entire set of lyrics, is that we don't really have a lot of time on this earth, and we don't really have control over our circumstances. We have no idea what tomorrow will bring. Even when there are plans, those plans can get changed or rushed in the case of those death row convicts. And yet, despite that, I'm still not doing my best effort to make strong relationships and connections with other humans. I know that I'm mean to you, whether this is a royal you, which is just people in general, or maybe a specific person that they wish they would have a stronger relationship with. They know that they should be different, they should be better about this, and yet they aren't consistently. I like this because it's human. It represents the internal struggle of what somebody knows they should do and what they will do regardless, and the difficulty it is in change. There's a lot of songs that basically say, hey, be better, do better, be more motivated, don't procrastinate as much, life is short, live at your best. But honestly, sometimes it's kind of hard, especially for people who aren't in the best mental states. And I like that this song acknowledges that. Yeah, like I said, the lyrics are quite a bit darker and feel like they match the verse a bit to me, but the chorus is a daydream about what it would be like to be in a position to just waste time, our most precious commodity, and not feel guilt about it. And I think that's what the twinkling twilight sound of the chorus and the release of weight is supposed to be. What it would be like to feel that way. Those are my thoughts. Hop along's Somewhere a Judge. What are your thoughts, though? You have your own perspectives or opinions about this track. Maybe you just want to add on to what I said or correct me where I might have been wrong. Let me know all that down in the comment section. Above that, in the description box, you're going to find a link to Linktree. It takes you here to this menu. You can find links to my music, ways to support the channel, a link to the Discord server, and so much more. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three of those. That wraps it up for this one. We do have one more video. Today, it is for Pride Month. Otherwise, I'll be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC. We're going to check out an entire album. I think we're checking out something from Battles, which we've heard a single song of before, but I'm pretty sure, at least for me, that's it. So it'll be interesting to check out a full album from them. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.